Yep, I can see it. This is very fitting for today's episode because we are talking about politics and the election. When I am Prime Minister, I will create the Ministry of Child Abuse. I will create the Ministry of Profound Respect and Appreciation for Indigenous Culture. I'll create the Ministry of Women in Yogurt Commercials. I'll create the Ministry of Masturbation. I'll create the Ministry of Running Out of Semen. Enjoy the episode. To be learning about politics and election. Dion McCurdy. How are you going, Dion? Oh, thank you for asking. I guess we have the Queensland election coming. Can you explain how the election fit into that?
Okay, well, but I'll sort of again three levels of government in Australia. We have a federal government that sort of looks after the military. It does welfare and it does need to be sorted at the national level, and then we have middle tier of government powers, in a sense, than the federal government, because the federal does, and the state governments have the level. We have the local governments. So let's say in Australia, at least, like the sewerage and the that. So that's the government of government, and coming year, I think it's the 31st of October for Queensland. In it only has only one chamber. They call it the Legislative Assembly. This year, one ballot paper, preferential voting system, which means to in which you want them. That's essentially the system that we use. There's 93 seats in the Queensland Parliament, so 45 seats. That's what make that 45. Then sometimes they can basically make deals in order to form a government that way. He has a duty to vote. They do get fined if you. And things about living in Australia is that we live in a democracy of the day.
We actually have as our right, and I believe that people should a thing that enough people understand that, and creating an app called New Vote, voting or the politics?
Sure. So the Democratic, which means we vote for a person. Now, there are different types of democratic systems. And so one on issues. And, they vote directly on issues. So they're not just electing a person to make the right. I believe here in Australia, but you might automatically start to think, well, what if the people don't know what is the right? Also make sure that people are making informed democracy. That means making sure to discuss that and to come to a decision that these other concepts of democracy that will allow people to information about those issues and then complaints factory. They're able to make suggestions about what updates to them as to how those new vote is about. We're a startup. We don't have to start with university. Directly with universities, with student campus issues. And so we have two Queensland University of Technology of trying to, create a heck of a lot of learning, and it's a slow process, and they're getting somewhere, and there's days that you feel like and that's essentially what New Vote is about.
It's such an important thing for people to really learn about politics because, this is like the biggest time all together, and it's such an important thing for all of us to be stuff. And
yeah, if people lose people and people are likely to try and influence government, which then means government people. So it becomes we are frankly still in that downward spiral. Western democracies in the world.
Seaman, because you can really see that going on in given up, and we need something to help us bring it back. Development is it?
We've got about 2, and we're essentially working out how. I have weekly meetings, to discuss how to add issues, those issues to students. We're going the app. It's secure. About 5% is of. So it's issues and solutions, and it's got profiles for representatives, and it's got some feedback tools. places where we can put extra information. It's still got a health, unless someone decides slowly, and it's going to grow based on say that they need.
Yeah. People love it, and when it full potential will definitely.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
That's all right. It really is still about like getting people interested. So I'm not 18 yet. State election, so which is good. Not a lot of us are. What can you do to vote for?
Yeah, it's a very good question. After they've voted, factor in your vote and the issues that were in that election. For the party, get smaller percentages of people that is in there. We have in Australia generally only enough seats in order to election. You might see, for Shay and Deb Franklin, presidential style. It'll be comparing the two of them, but them unless you live in their electorate. And so, I think my personal opinion is that you should be. And so, what you at this election, whether it's the or whatever it might be, and then unfortunately, you have to sort of make this mega decision are and which parties are holding those positions to come to a sort of. It's not actually what a lot of people do. A lot of people make decisions like you were saying. There is an aspect of tribalism. We're a liberal family, or we believe in that party, even though the politicians validate exactly who's telling the truth. We just know, people have a sense that we politics. It's unfortunate. You tend to get is about 30% and 30% voting for the Liberals, who are, making up their own mind actually decide the election. And so being a swing voter, that tend to swing because the parties pay much more attention to people. So if you're living in a particular party, they start to take for anybody. So I can't make a decision up yourself. And the issues that are the history and the personality longer involved and he, deserves a chance. Has been around a long time, and you feel like so there's that kind of decision making as well.
Fantastic. Like, vote for out to the rest of Queensland or wherever you are. Well, fantastic. About now, I did talk to you about this one. An odd answer or an odd question, or not being truthful, if they're just feeding you information.
There's a joke about lying; they'll be opening their mouth. But I go into politics for the right reasons. That they do want to represent their community. Essentially, the best way that we is that the current political system, it's very complex. Is at play beyond or their opinion on a particular subject. So a politician will public service, providing some advice. They might feel pain. They'll serve. That's the biggest thing. So your local know that if they don't follow the pre-selected, chosen as the, there's a real incentive there for them not to go. They have regular meetings where they're able to, contribute to what they believe. People are, also, getting the media. They've got the opposition. And then there's also the sort of you can't just necessarily give that. You'll upset a certain portion of the electorate, and then you'll, upset. Trained in order to not. They would generally try. That builds a record. Very honest their entire life, and then lie one. Just can't ever recover. Politicians that lie. Politician at the moment. Pretty much everything that he says. To maintain their support, although we'll in November whether they do or not. The answer is unfortunately very straightforward. Politician that's lying. You have to, your own, come and, the media does think that the media is contributing to the problem. Probably true to some extent, but there are investigative journalism and best bet would be to have that you regularly make sense of the political
It's a very, very detailed answer, and where do you really end on that answer? It's like, to have it in yourself to they're obviously not doing the right thing. I'd like to end off on this one. Should young people get involved with to listen to, and is impacted by
Yeah, look, strong answer I can give you. Long period of time have not enrolled. About 15 years now, there's a good, and they don't enroll, and they don't. And, they have your address, they have your your name. That's generally the case. So there's a group of young people that just sort of said, well, I don't want to get fined. I don't me out. Actually en masse enrolled to vote, direction or the other, they would. So by not stepping in, they are giving away the older generations, skin in the game in a sense, because it's young people. As difficult as it is, the worst thing, that make cumulatively, and if you don't want to right to complain, the system is not change everything overnight, but if you don't vote, then you're just giving up change at all. So I definitely, in the political system that we have, they particular issues that kind of traditional to the less effective nowadays. But change. There's definitely no doubt. Thornburg, in the United States, there was the school kids that and they went on to is a big problem, and it doesn't get solved overnight, but and so that's why they should vote.
Because the amount of people who I know is it's only the old people who get the say and stuff like that, but it's like it's your responsibility to, and if then you can. And she says it to everyone who says you don't have a say over anything else.
Your mum is right. The system works at the moment, and that's why I've privileged try and make a difference, and that's why. Because I was lucky enough at my university days to I was able to learn the theory and but also you learn the reality of how the political system was I see as a human species ourselves and to each other and to the planet. To definitely enroll to vote. That's the bare minimum. That you can't not do that because take steps, beyond that as well.
Yeah. So for once told us how we do that. So make a difference.
Representative democracy, right? That they're the world is dealing with issues, and so I think you are in a position to be an educational charity. Probably pick one of those. And then you want to see changed, and then research on that issue, and you'll find to do what you want to see done. We face in the political world remuneration. We're often every bit counts. Huge difference. They're big or they know, but quite often they really do need in the digital world organizations, and you could revolutionize the place, and you could actually affect a email campaigns or something like that. So your individuality and your passion and your beliefs, those causes, and if you next cause, I think that's probably to go that for you, that you need is obviously going to be a huge issue for the majority. There's a youth climate action. They will be looking for people like you. They want you to join and sign petitions.
Yeah, which we all need to be doing it the best way that we can, the way that we know we can. So if on social media, really make that difference.
No, I would say one more thing, that is make change. And so that path that I'm sort of activist path, but there are people that that doesn't resonate to work within the system. And so perhaps a university degree and really study in government, or for some people, and start swaying them from the inside and eventually seek a representative position, and then advocate within your party for that. There's only one path. There's many different paths outside the systems and paths that sort of cross in between both of those.
Yeah, fantastic. To finish off, our talk today. Thank you so much for having you on and for managing and coping with all my questions.
And thank you. October, and good luck finishing high school.
Alrighty, that is the. Alrighty, that is the end of episode 5. We're going to be vote. Enroll to vote. You can do it from, I think, when you can enroll to vote.
Yeah,
it's one of those ages. Have a look. There's a website there. This process you could ever do. It doesn't take work. My teachers were like, "Why are you doing this now?" I'm like, "Because it's important."
Yeah. And at this stage as well, it's very easy to do what they call pre-poll. You can basically just rock up to a certain number of spots and but the other thing is that you can the election, the Electoral Commission will open up postal vote your basic details in, and they'll send out go out on that Saturday and so on. You can just that's the other way to do it.
Fantastic. So really, as a young person, you have and enroll. It's easy. Shit, I need to know. Next week, I don't know, we'll be